step 2 is eat low on the glycemic index. So we said this before a little bit on the previous slide. Sugars and carbohydrates and those kind of things actually increase your blood sugar. This tells you exactly how. What the glycemic index is when what we do is we feed somebody one single food, and then we watch their blood sugar go up over time. So like you can look on the chart on the right. The red line would be something like a Coca-Cola, where the blue line is something like maybe an egg or something like that. So all we're doing is we're feeding people one food, watching their blood sugar rise over time. And what you'll notice is after, if you look at the time, it's about 2 hours to get through that whole chart. If you drank something like Coca-Cola, your blood sugar shot up really high, or if you ate something like an egg, it'd be a lot lower. And what you want to think about when you think about the difference between the two foods is everything between the blue line and the red line is getting stored as fat. So that's the number one thing that you want to do is eat low on the glycemic index. And there's online you can find plenty of glycemic index charts. There's one in the back of the book. And it'll tell you which foods are high in the glycemic index and which foods are low in the glycemic index. In fact, they have high, medium, and low glycemic index foods. So high glycemic index foods are refined grains, potatoes, sweets, breads, those kind of things. Medium glycemic foods are kind of whole grains like rice and barley, eaten the way you would eat rice, so boiled and then eaten, and not like ground up in something like a bread or something like that. And beans are also in that medium group. Some fruits or most fruits and vegetables are also low glycemic index, but not potatoes again. So potato chips, French fries are kind of really out. And proteins like fish, chicken, and beef, those kind of things. In fact, animal source proteins don't even show up on the glycemic index. They don't even bother doing the test anymore because they just don't change your blood sugar at all. So if you're going to keep your blood sugar low over time, you want to eat low on the glycemic index, as low as possible on the glycemic index. You also want to eat more often. Surprisingly, eating more often actually helps balance your blood sugar throughout the day, and that's still one of those strategies. So if you're just eating a little bit and it has a little bit of carbohydrate in time and you're eating that throughout the whole day, then it's much better than if you were to eat that in 1 or 2 or 3 big meals. So people who skip meals actually do a lot worse. Eating more often not only helps balance your blood sugar, but it also increases your metabolism. So that's why when we say one of the keys to losing weight is to eat more often, this is why. It kind of, you get a 2-for-1 deal on this one. It not only increases your blood sugar control, but it also increases your metabolism, which is something we'd all want. So proteins, carbohydrates, and fats, basically what keeps things low on the glycemic index, what keeps the carbohydrates low. So if you eat any single carbohydrate, you're going to shoot your blood sugar up really quickly. What keeps it low is eating a protein or a fat. So when you are on a place with this diet where you feel like you've reached the weight you want to be at, anytime you eat a carbohydrate, you surround it by a protein and fat, always. So afterwards, and this is kind of way into the future for most people, whenever you eat a carbohydrate, so you would want to make sure that you eat it near a meal, in a meal. So you would never drink soda alone. You'd never eat a piece of cake alone, anything like that. So you always put the proteins and the fats near the carbohydrates. And that's a general.
For example, you wanted to eat an apple. You just add a couple slices of cheese, maybe a couple nuts with it, something like that.
Yeah, peanut butter even. Dip it in peanut butter, sure. Something like that definitely helps. Apples are going to tend to be lower on the glycemic index, but anytime you're doing that, it's definitely beneficial to put a protein near it.
Which is a little bit counterintuitive because, especially if you've done calorie counting in the past, it may seem like you're adding more calories to the meal. How is this going to help me lose weight? But, the whole key is to keep your blood sugar.
Oh, yeah, and that, that kind of gets into that thing about being afraid of fats is since 1970, I think that was in one of your emails, and it was actually C. Edward Koop, who was one of he was the attorney, not the Attorney General, what are they called?
Surgeon General.
Yeah, and he said that, that he was the one who kind of pushed the low-fats diets onto us, and mostly that was on the back of some not so good science around fats lead to heart disease. And then, of course, fats have a lot more calories in them than do proteins and carbohydrates. So you're supposed to avoid fats for those two reasons.
Right.
And it just doesn't work. It honestly doesn't matter if you're eating a whole bunch of fats as long as you're eating the right kind of fats. So you're staying away from those trans fatty acids, any hydrogenated oils, those kind of things.
Right.
Then you really don't run into any heart problems. And fats, once again, carbohydrates are not the same kind of things when we're talking calories as fats and proteins. I could put you on a full fat diet and you'd actually lose weight. It'd be fairly unhealthy, but that's what would happen to you.
As a lot